to forgive and to love our enemies, calls us to eventually move beyond all of our mixed and tangled feelings toward that healing and wholeness which only God's justice and God's love can bring.
Question, I think, for every person today, and I'm sure everybody, it went through your mind. What if I'd been on that airplane with just a few minutes of life? What if I'd been sitting in one of those towers and looked up and saw that plane coming into my office building?
This is a dark day in America, but there has to be something that can sustain us. There has to be something that can hold us. There has to be something that can fortify us. There has to be something that can encourage us as we face these dark days.
I'm Wolf Blitzer in Washington.
And I'm Joey Chen at CNN Center in Atlanta. A special edition of Lou Dobbs Moneyline begins in just a moment. First, the latest developments in America's new war.
President Bush is back at the White House after intensive planning sessions with his top aides at Camp David. Upon his arrival, Mr. Bush said the nation is confronting, quote, a new kind of evil. And he said the opponent will not be vanquished quickly.
This war on terrorism is going to take a while, and the American people must be patient. I'm going to be patient, but I can assure the American people I am determined. I'm not going to be distracted. I will keep my focus to make sure that not only are these brought to justice, but anybody who's been associated will be brought to justice.
Center attacks. He approved the downing of the fourth hijacked passenger plane. As we all know, the fourth plane crashed before it reached Washington. In New York today, a new view of the utter devastation that runs for blocks and blocks in lower Manhattan. Today, the number of missing is 5,097. 180 is the number of confirmed dead. The Pentagon death toll is 188. Two other developments. The Bush administration and Congress are examining ways to relax restrictions against the CIA. One such restriction is the ban on political assassinations. And Attorney General John Ashcroft says he will ask Congress for expanded law enforcement powers, including broader authority in using wiretaps. The administration says intelligence and law enforcement will represent major components in the war against terrorism. Joey?
Amid all the thinking about plans ahead and what to do now, a pause, a moment to remember. At St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York right now, a special service is underway for those of all faiths to stop and remember. Cardinal Egan speaking now.
In what we have come to call Ground Zero, but which I call Ground Hero. It now falls to all of us to take the next steps as the smoke at the World Trade Center dissipates and ceases to rise, how will we deal with these next steps? The formula of the Apostle Paul in our first reading this evening is the answer I would propose. We will not lose heart because our inner being is renewed each day. We will confirm ourselves in goodness and holiness. We will keep our eyes, fasten our gaze on the unseen Father in heaven, whose providence is never, ever to be called into question. If this be our approach, I have the greatest confidence as to what lies before us. I am sure that we will continue to console the mourning and care for the hurting with unflagging sympathy and love. I am sure that we will seek justice in this tragedy as citizens of a nation under God in which hatred and desires for revenge must never have a part. I am sure that we'll allow no group or groups in our diverse but united community to be accused or abused because of the outrageous misdeeds of individuals. I am sure that we will not harbor thoughts of war of any kind without careful, prayerful consideration of what is right and just before the one God and Father of us all. I am sure that we will roll up our sleeves and rebuild the scarred sectors of our beloved city with enthusiasm and wholesome New York-style pride.
Cardinal Egan at St. Patrick's Cathedral at this hour, a special service to honor the memory of all those lost at the World Trade Center, at the Pentagon, and of course in Western Pennsylvania this week as well. Friday was more the formal National Day of Prayer and Mourning, but the prayer, the remembrance, and the mourning go on. To our viewers, we'll have breaking news on the latest developments in the investigation at any time here on CNN. Now we want to go to New York in a special edition of Lou Dobbs Money Law. Lou?
Joy, thank you very much. 5 days after the worst attack ever on American soil, New York City and Wall Street are preparing to go back to work. Amidst the rubble that was the World Trade Center and much of what we refer to as Wall Street, the search for survivors is still going on. Countless workers are struggling also to restore telephone, water, and power to the area. Wall Street needs all of those services, of course, and more to get back to business tomorrow. Dry runs at the various stock exchanges went well yesterday. The Securities and Exchange Commission late today gave the New York Stock Exchange approval to go ahead and return to trading. The exchange tonight appears ready for its 9:30 opening tomorrow morning. Bill Hemmer is in downtown Manhattan, and he has been looking over the site and also seeing how preparations are going as thousands of workers prepare to return to the area tomorrow morning. Bill?
Yeah, Lou, the news continues down here, and the news again today is not good. The mayor has put the missing total now over 5,097 still missing inside the World Trade Center. The rubble you see behind me now becoming known as the pile here at the southern end of Manhattan. They're still calling it a search and rescue mission, still trying to see at this time and hold on the hope that someone, possibly more than one person, can be found alive inside the rubble. But you know, as the days continue to go by, the hope fades day by day here in southern Manhattan. You know, in 136 years' time, the New York Fire Department here has lost fewer than 800 men and women, but already we're looking at more than 300 firefighters still missing at this point. That branch and unit of New York has certainly taken an awful and tragic hit throughout this entire ordeal. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers informing us of looking through 5 buildings still standing right now on the perimeter of the former World Trade Center. Still looking at those for possible precarious positions in terms of structural damage. Going through there, trying to make sure they're indeed safe and sound. Also, we're getting word too from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers that they're trying to put together a plan at this point to go ahead and take the rubble out at a much quicker pace. We've seen workers for 5-6 days now taking them out by each truckload, but they'd like to expedite that at this time. They're trying to put together a plan in order to do that. It's a daunting task. Some estimate that more than 500,000 tons of rubble still on the ground here on the streets of Manhattan. Getting some words today of theft. Some engineers coming out of those buildings saying that a number of the ones still standing have been vandalized. In parts, we're hearing some offices broken into, a coffee shop or two robbed in the scene, and that is not the best positive news we're hearing thus far. The smoke and the steam you see coming off, still fires burning in certain areas, and as the water continues to treat these areas, you see the steam rising as a number of parts inside that pile again continue to be quite hot from the devastation on Tuesday. Some say that steel in that building exceeded 1,000 degrees after Tuesday's attack. Lou, back to you.
Bill, thanks. Bill Hemmer. Well, a lot of companies make up what we call Wall Street, not only the exchanges and the brokerages, but the firms that support all of the trading activity down there. And through this weekend, the employees of those companies have been struggling to get back to downtown Manhattan, into the Wall Street area, to prepare for tomorrow. Chris Huntington has spent much of the past 2 days down there and has this report for us. Chris?
As utility workers laid the groundwork for restoring power, the New York Stock Exchange unfurled its message to the world. Wall Street will be back in business Monday morning. The debris of terror still covers the financial district, but there is unanimous determination to shake it off.
Monday we're going to try to open and we're going to clean it.
Hopefully back to normal if we can get deliveries, coffee in the morning, donuts, Danish.
We're just trying to clean up first, put everything together, trying to wake up from this nightmare, and that I think we'll get back even better than what we used to be.
The Federal Reserve Bank of New York set a defiant and patriotic tone on Saturday, blaring marching music from a corner of its stone fortress. Businesses in the financial district are now in a war zone. There are security checkpoints throughout the area.
Just let me see that you have credentials for 45 John.
And many streets remain off limits.
The area is now frozen.
Okay. Do you know how long that's going to be?
Buildings are all unsafe. The buildings on John Street are unsafe.
As of late today, a huge area of the financial district is so damaged that hundreds of businesses will be shut out of their offices indefinitely, including American Express, Merrill Lynch, and Lehman Brothers in the World Financial Center. The partners of Aetna Judicial Services were lucky. They managed to retrieve their files just before authorities put their building off limits.
So our business is basically in 5-6 bags that thanks to my partner we were able to grab out of the office. We're up and running better than probably most businesses today.
The priority tonight on Wall Street is to restore power and communications. The latest word from Con Edison, the utility here in New York City, is that 9,300 customers are without electricity. And Verizon, the regional phone company, reports that it is focusing on the network between the New York Stock Exchange and its member firms. A Verizon spokesman would only say that there is still a lot of work to be done. Lou?
Chris, thank you. And despite all of that, it still appears, according to the New York Stock Exchange, that all is ready for a go tomorrow morning to begin trading at 9:30 a.m. Bruce Francis is down at the New York Exchange and tells us, are they ready? Bruce?
Lou, they say they are, even though testing will continue tonight and probably into the wee hours. Of course, testing the stock exchange is a continuous matter, even in times of non-emergency. Still, they do maintain here at the New York Stock Exchange that everything is ready to go. All systems go for that 9:30 opening bell. Still, in the neighborhood, businesses have been scrambling to get ready.
Nick Liberatos usually serves up hundreds of breakfasts at this coffee shop just 3 blocks away from the NYSE. But as the traders he caters to get back to work, he and his employees will be cleaning up $20,000 worth of rotting food.
I don't know when I can have supplies delivered to the store, like milk, bread, produce. Nobody can come in. So we don't know what to do, and we don't know when we could open.
Although much of the financial district is open to a surprising amount of foot traffic, security is tight in the immediate vicinity of the exchange.
That's my true wall building pass, but here's my driver's license.
The New York Stock Exchange continued its second day of testing. Several firms, including the nation's largest broker, Merrill Lynch,